Is it 4/4 or is it 6/8? Seems to be a lot of discussion out there on the internet about Cory Asbury's song. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Reckless Love. We play this at our church. It's been a topic of discussion and debate there, and I've certainly have found lots of discussions online about whether this song is actually in 4/4 or 6/8. I have my strong feelings, but I wanted to actually go back to one of the sources and analyze what's actually there and what makes sense as a musician, and recreating the parts that are on actually I'm using the album version of his song, and see what's recorded and what's played and what time signature makes the most sense. And I'm going to take you on a little journey. What was interesting to me is in researching this subject, did a little Googling, and I was surprised to find, because memory was not correct, that the videos that I see on YouTube, most of them, if not all of them, from the big providers like Bethel, they actually play it correctly. It's actually when I started digging into the blog posts and the forum comments and some tutorial sites that I actually see the discrepancy come up more often. So that was a bit of a surprise to me. So what I did was I took Cory's album version. I took two main segments from it and I loaded it into GarageBand. It is loaded in on a time signature of 4/4. And I'm going to recreate the parts that are there, irrespective of any time signature, and just play what's there, and then start building on that to see what we find out. There are a couple of things I didn't get too nitpicky about, making sure I overdubbed parts onto this, not getting too picky about exactly matching the recording, because there's a little discrepancy or float there because of clock rates and the recording machine they used, the file I grabbed in. GarageBand's tempo may or may not be in sync with anything in particular. So I ask your patience there, but it's really close. Okay, so let's dive into the song. Okay, the first thing I want to play for you is the track piece that I have. I have the second intro going into the second verse, and I thought that was the easiest to hear some of the drum work that's being done, so I'm going to start with that and recreate what's there, and hopefully lead you through this track and we can discover what's actually going on here. All right, so first of all, I'm going to play the track piece that I have. God, yeah. When I was your fault, still your love fought for me. You have been so good to me. When I felt no worth, you paid it all for me. You have been so kind to me. And and I stopped at the chorus. I'm going to play you a chorus section later, but I wanted to start with that since it's the easiest to kind of hear what's going on. So yes, this is the album version. It's very similar in execution to a couple of Bethel performances and a couple of other outliers too, but basically this is the idea. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I'm going to pan the track to the left a little bit, and everything that I've added I'm going to put in the right ear. So the best thing I can recommend is that you listen to this video in headphones, because it'll be easier to discern what actually is going on. All right, so the first thing we'll do is Reckless Love is panned left. I'm going to put my kick and my snare and tambourine in the right ear, and then play that, only that for you, okay? So basically it's downbeat and backbeat elements added to the recording. God, yeah.
foe, still your love fought for me. You have been so, so good to me. When I felt no worth, you paid it all for me. You have been so, so kind to me. And oh,
Okay. Pretty straightforward. I think we all can agree that that's pretty much what's there in the recording. It's basically a kick on the downbeat or the one, whatever that may end up being, and a strong backbeat with tambourine overdub. Okay. Now the next simple thing that we can add that I think is pretty easy to discern is that melody in the intro section. So I put that on. So I'm going to turn that on and just play that piece for you. So give that a listen.
God, yeah. When I was your fault.
Okay. So those are pretty much the straight and easy things to follow, at least in this segment. Now, there's this strong feeling of a triplet feel, and I think that's where one of the elements that is tripping people up in analyzing this song is there's this feeling of three that's going on, all right? And what I want to do is I want to start digging into what those pieces of the recording might be and see if that is what might be leading people into thinking that this is in 6/8. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to play, I found an acoustic version video of Cory playing this song, and it's just basically acoustic, so bear with me. I'm going to play a couple minutes of it, but what I want you to focus on is the acoustic part that he's playing and kind of discern what that rhythm is, because it's replicated in the recording, but it's easier to hear in this video. Okay, so I'm going to play the video next for just about a minute or so, so give that a listen next.
Before I spoke a word, you were singing over me. You have been so, so good to me. Before I took a breath, you breathed your life in me. And you have been so, so kind to me. And oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. And oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99, and I couldn't earn it, and I don't deserve it. Still you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Yeah.
Okay, so he's basically, for the simple version of this, doing 3 downbeats or down strums, followed by this triplet feel that may or may not be making people think about 6/8. But basically the strum he's doing for the most part is okay. So let's listen for that in the album recording next.
God, yeah. When I was your foe, still your love fought for me. You have been so, so good to me. When I felt no.
Okay. So basically, I overdubbed that part in, and I also did some chord passing chords, but basically this is the idea.
Still your love fought for me. You have been so, so good to me. When I felt no worth, you paid it all for me. You have been so, so kind to me. And oh, the
Okay, except for a couple of pocket issues in my playing, that seems to work really well with the recording. There's no discrepancy there that I can hear. The one thing I'm going to add back in also for the drum kit is there's a basically kind of a straight hi-hat going on too. So I'm going to put that in real briefly and have you hear that.
love fought for me. You have been so, so good to me.
Okay, that's all lining up pretty well, right? All right, so where's that triplet feel coming from that's confusing people? Well, it's a little bit of that strum, the back half of that strum, and then the other thing that is in there is a triplet kind of a shuffle shaker, and I'm going to solo that for you, and this is what that sounds like. All right. Now let's add that acoustic back in and we'll see where that strum idea comes from. Okay, you get the idea. All right, so now let's listen to that that triplet feel shaker against the track and the parts we've added so far.
God, yeah. When I was your foe, still your love fought for me. You have been so, so good to me. When I felt no worth, you paid it all for me.
Okay, all right, so you get the idea. Now let's think about, people want to call this 6/8. Well, based on the length of a phrase, you may not want to, you would argue that it wouldn't be 6/8. You could possibly call it 12/8, but who wants to count a song at this tempo for 4 minutes counting 12/8? I want to solo the drums and that triplet shaker and the melody, where we can get this idea of 12/8 if you want to count it that way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, so you get the idea. 12/8's a little crazy. All right. All right, so we got that all back on. Now, there's a couple other little parts later on that there are in the song. I just did this to make it kind of fill out a little bit. There is an electric guitar part that kind of has a phase or a flanger thing over there. I didn't cop the part exactly because it's a little hard to hear. And there's also a pedal tone synth. So this comes in basically on the verse, and I'll add those parts in just to kind of fill out the performance. Okay?
Still your love fought for me. You have been so good to me. When I felt no worth, you paid it all for me. You have been so kind to me.
Okay. So I would venture to guess that you, well, at least I perceive that all to line up pretty well with the recording. The parts I added are not much of a stretch in terms of forcing something in there that isn't there, right? All right, so now let's break this back down a little bit, and I'm going to play for you. See if we can mute that stuff. I'm going to play the track. This time I'm going to start with a 6/8 click. Okay, so actually let's do this. Let's start with the click and the kick and snare. Now, where is this idea of 6/8 coming from? Well, part of the problem may be that most ballads, or lots of pop ballads and lots of church ballads, are done in 6/8. So it's a natural inclination to feel like that's where these songs land. So let's just stick with the kick, snare, and the backbeat and listen to a 6/8 click and see how this lines up going down that road of a 6/8 part. Okay, now let's add the track back in.
God, yeah. When I was your foe, still your love fought for.
Okay, to me, already sounding a little odd, okay? So let's take the click and the melody, which we know we've already proven to be in line with the original track. Now let's just listen to those two elements by themselves and see how those line up. This is the melody and the intro with a 6/8 click. Okay, now if I turn the melody off and send you a file of the click at 6/8 at this tempo, you should be able to send me back a file of the melody with that feel, and I should be able to drop it right in. All right, let me play it for you one more time. If I send anybody a click and they're able to play that melody and it lines up perfectly, I'd be very impressed. Okay, I wanted to compare that acoustic guitar part with the 6/8 click. So let me turn those on for you. Let's just, as an experiment, let's take a quarter note click over that same passage and see if it's easier to feel it at a quarter note or 4/4. Okay, here we go. All right. So quarter notes feeling like the way to go here, 4/4. Let's listen to the chorus or a little bit of that bridge, because I know the feel seems to change a little bit there. But let's apply this 4/4 idea with the elements that I've already put in here on the track at that section. So this is the bridge, part of the bridge going into a chorus. So that's the end section, the chorus and bridge played against a 4/4 click using the same elements in the same spots as we did earlier. And I think it's pretty clear to see that this is basically built on a quarter note click and not a 6/8 click. Now, if you were doing a session, the session leader would probably notate this as a halftime feel with a triplet feel, or halftime with a triplet feel, or maybe quarter note with a 12/8 feel, but halftime with a triplet feel is basically how this is notated. Basically, this is the same feel as Toto's Rosanna, and that song is a halftime shuffle feel, basically a triplet with a halftime beat. And I found, if you Google on YouTube, Jeff Picaro playing the Rosanna Shuffle, there is a video on there where he demos that part. I took the audio from that, changed it to 55 beats per minute, and put it on my 4/4 grid here against the song that we have, and this is what I came up with. Basically, it's triplet, 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 it's basically a march beat, right? With a little bit of a shuffle in there. So let me play the Rosanna drums over just the track.
God, yeah. When I was your foe, still your love fought for me. You've been so good to me. When I felt no worth, you paid it all for me. You've been so kind to me. And oh,
So there you go. I think no one would argue that Rosanna is a song in 6/8. It's a halftime shuffle over 4/4. And if you Google the tempo of Reckless Love, the results say that it's 55 beats per minute. Now, 55 beats per minute quarter note, if you're trying to play with a band, may be a little scary because there's a lot of space between the notes. So you could do an eighth note count at 110, which would get you close and also give you a little more metronome information to play to. But basically, Reckless Love is quarter notes, 55 beats per minute. It's a halftime shuffle feel. There's nothing about it that's 6/8. And I hope that clears up some things for you. And email me if you have any questions. Thank you.